ZBTR TV presents Conversations with Mhambi.
Empowering the future, strengthening democracy, and building a vibrant civic culture among Zambia's youth.
Tune in every third Saturday of the month as I host young, vibrant Zambian guests discussing matters of national interest. Good morning and welcome to Conversations with Mhambi, where Zambia's young voices share ideas that shape our nation's future. I'm your host, Mhambi Musonda.
Good morning. This is ZBTR TV, wherever you're watching us from. Good afternoon to those of you who are in Zambia, and wherever you're watching us from, we're very happy that you have decided to join us. Today is an election special. As you know, that we are less than, I believe, 90 days away from our general election. And so as a part of our Zambia Decide series that we've been having on ZBTR TV, we are going to be, we've been interviewing different candidates throughout the year. And we're very excited to have a special today with a youth candidate who is running for office, and he is running in the Kabungo Ward in Chingola. And we're excited to have him, and we're going to be talking to Mr. Mwila. Honorable, how are you?
Fine, and how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. We were supposed to do this yesterday, but you've been very, very busy. So I'm happy that I've been able to talk to you today.
Definitely, I really appreciate, and thank you for hosting me on ZBTR TV.
You are welcome. So just tell our viewers who might be watching for the first time, sort of who you are and sort of your journey up to this point.
I am Leanatus Mwila, and I'm an aspiring candidate for councillorship in Kabungo Ward, Chingola West constituency in Zambia. My journey in leadership began way back when I was in secondary school, where I was privileged to serve as president for school council and later served as Zambia Red Cross Society president at Maiteneke Secondary School. From there, I was appointed to be the team doctor at Maiteneke Secondary School. So my journey evolves around youth empowerment, youth engagement, and also youth leadership development. So I mentor young people in entrepreneurship, business, and also leadership. Not forgetting me advocating on menstrual health as a menstrual ally. So that is who I am, and I'm the second born in the family of 5, a Zambian citizen.
Wow. Second born in the family of 5. So what inspired you to run for councillor, especially at a young age? Sort of what inspired your run for political office?
Leadership has been my journey. I was joking with I was laughing about it with my father some few days ago, because I remembered at some point I told my father, and when he asked me, who do you want to become when you grow up, Mwila? So I responded as young I think I was in grade 3. I said, I want to be the governor or the town clerk. Then Dad just told me to say, no, you can't be the town clerk or governor, a politician. No, my son, just think of any other career. So, so we were laughing about it because professionally, I'm a lab tech by profession, because I had to pursue what my parents would want me to be. So I did it, and I said, okay, I'm going to do all that you so desire, but I'm so passionate about saving the people and wanting to empower other young people. So in as much as I was pursuing my diploma in science laboratory, I took more time to really learn more about leadership, where I was accorded opportunities to understand about civic leadership, civic engagement, and also political and geopolitics through the U.S. Embassy Activate Youth Project. So through this background, I now knew at this particular time to say, I underwent all these trainings for me to be ready to serve the people of Kabungo Ward in the 2026 general election. But the funny part is, sir, is people, the elders in the community started encouraging me after they saw the service I was offering to the community. I could advocate on different issues and matters on radio, on my Facebook page, and also contribute to the community development in different agendas. So when they saw that the leadership in the ward is not responding effectively and delivering according to their expectation, they encouraged me to say, Rena, why are you advocating for the development of the community outside the system? Why can't you be in the system and advocate for the best, because you have the best interests at heart for the people of Kabungo? So why not step into politics? You know, for a long time, this had been something that I've dreamed of and I've wanted to be, to represent the people as a civic leader and just as a public servant, you know, and I've been doing all that. But now it is quite different for me to step into civic duty through the electoral process. So it comes from the community identifying to say, I can really serve the people, and I've been really serving the community and in other spaces as a young leader. So my inspiration is to totally serve the people with integrity.
Wow, you're so good. You already answered my third question. So you're already someone who is very, very passionate. I like what you said about how you know, you dreamed of this moment, and sometimes politics, you know, we're sort of dissuaded from having a political career or, you know, thinking of having a career in politics. But as you said, you know, it's really about being a public servant and serving others. That's at the core of politics. So my next question is, why is this important? Why is this moment, sort of this moment in which you've decided to throw yourself in the political arena important for the Kabungo Ward and Chingola West constituency? Why is this moment important?
As we look at the political space in Zambia at this particular time, it's a defining moment for the political environment in Zambia. And as young people at this particular time, we need to take the center step if we have to redefine the political space and the political growth in our country. So when we look at the political space in Zambia, you see that a number of young people are most of the time used as tools for campaigns, tools in violence. Now, this is the particular moment that Zambia has been waiting for young people to stand up and represent their fellow young people, women, youths, and also the different abled, less privileged in our society. Now, when we talk about the importance itself, see, in 2021, young people stood up and said, enough is enough. We are going to change our nation and we are going to change the governance. At that particular time, we only played a role to usher in different leaders because we wanted change. But at this particular time, young people in Zambia want to drive the same change that we advocated for in 2021. So this is the time where we need to be courageous as young people and step into the political space to redefine this moment, because 10 years from now, 5 years from now, I may not be as youthful as I am today. So this is the time to invest into the future, which I want to be part of and say, indeed, I contributed to the development of Mother Zambia in this capacity as councillor.
One of your campaign themes, when I was doing research on your campaign before having you on, one of your campaign themes is leadership with integrity. So what does integrity mean to you in public office, in the public sphere?
One thing I understand about integrity, even in my leadership journey, I served as president of Evelyn College Science Laboratory Student Association when I was pursuing my diploma in science laboratory. So one thing I learned is integrity is your strongest voice for the people you are representing as a leader. The moment you compromise on integrity, you lose the voice and you lose the oversight over the people, because you will no longer be in the interest of the people, but in your own interest and other interests that you are pursuing for your compromising in leadership. So integrity is what holds the whole leadership. So minus integrity, this is why we see a number of leaders selling plots, selling properties that belongs to the community, because they've lost it and they don't care about the others. It is all for themselves. So integrity for me comes from far, far, far back, because a journey of integrity is what God has given me as one of the purpose I need to fulfill here on earth. I need to train young people to walk in integrity. So if I'm to teach and mentor other fellow young people in integrity, I have to walk in it with confidence, so that they learn to say, yes, a young person can make it in leadership, can really bring development and change without compromising on integrity.
That's very powerful. Young people not compromising on integrity. I like that. That's very important. So in that same question, in that same sort of lane, we're talking about integrity. We're talking about ensuring that people, elected officials, are trusted. Many citizens have lost trust in political leadership. How do you plan as counselor to rebuild trust?
It starts from us. At this particular time, they are able to point out different leaders that have passed in our communities, in our constituencies, and in Zambia at large. So they are able to point out and what made those leaders not trustworthy. It starts from the campaign promises that we leaders make to the electorate. That is where even the trust issues starts from. You can imagine where a councillor is promising people that I'll be buying you maybe each and every time, meeting you in houses, I'll be giving you plots, I'll be doing things that are not even in the mandate of the leader. So from that particular moment, you are able to say trust issues begins from the promises that people make in wanting just to be elected as leaders. So how do we build trust in the people? It is by really telling them the truth, and the truth will set us free. Because you and I telling people in our campaigns to say, these are the duties of a councillor. A councillor is an overseer of the community. A councillor is a negotiator on behalf of the community in development, in ensuring that all things in the community are set. And that is the straightforward and the right message to give to the people. But the moment we compromise for the sake of a few good message, me going in the community promising people that I'll buy them personal vehicles, when they vote for me, I'll be able to employ them. Candidates are able to do all sorts of things. They're able to promise people, no, I will employ you, when the councillor has no mandate to employ anyone. Do you own a company? So it all starts from the promises, the manifesto that we give to the people just because we want to win. So I tell people to say it's better I lose an election based on integrity and on the truth than I lose based on lies. No, that shouldn't be the case, because I don't want you failing to hold me accountable based on the things that I've promised. Well, as I know deep down my heart that it is not possible for a councillor to employ people, but because I'm the overseer of the community, I'll be able to tap into certain opportunities of employment, of certain opportunities that will bring empowerment within the community. So regaining trust is by telling the electorate the truth, even as we campaign for these positions in leadership.
Wow, I like that. A councillor there's no provision under buying cars. They can't promise you land. I think that's important. So I like what you said. It's about service. It's not about what you can do for me. And I think that's why a lot of people have lost trust in politics. And I liked your answer. My next question is, what makes your leadership approach? Obviously, you're young. That's one point. You have experience in college leadership. You also did, community leadership. But how is your leadership approach different from traditional politics?
At this particular time, it's a redefining moment for politics in Zambia. So my approach into politics is quite different. I look at service, and this is why I said you tell the people the truth, the electorate the truth that they need to know about the leadership that you are going to provide. It's the availability of a leader in a community, especially as councillor. You can't say, I represent the people of Kabungo, whereas you are not residing in Kabungo Ward. You do not face the challenges that the Kabungo Ward are facing. You do not know when there are no water supply on the taps of the people. If they don't have water, access, clean water, and other necessities, bad road networks within the community, you are not residing there. You can never have confidence to advocate for such development because you are no longer affected and you are not affected. So my approach is, as councillor, I ought to spend much of my time in the community, understanding and working together with the community, because the development that will come for the people of Kabungo will come from my interaction with them, because they have the solution. They know their challenges that they have faced for the past 5 years, 10 years, that they have been crying out that they see development within the community. So my approach is allowing a people-centered vision into a Kabungo Ward 2031 vision, where we will table out issues concerning Kabungo Ward, draft our own budget away from the government budget, where we have our own budget for Kabungo, how we want to develop Kabungo up to 2031. So when we have such a budget and we have all the problems and have the solution, it will be easy for me in my leadership to rob for funds, to rob for development in my community, because there is a vision that we are running with it. Just like in the Bible, it is quoted to say, Habakkuk 2, it will tell us to say, write down your vision, and put it where everyone is able to see so that they can run with it, not walk with it, but run with it. So this is the vision for the community, so that is my approach, even in leadership at this particular time.
What are the biggest challenges currently facing the residents in which you seek to represent?
There are a number of challenges that Kabungo Ward faces, but one thing that really pains me is, especially when it comes to clean water access and also poor sewer system in our community. It has even reached a point where people have dug pit latrine in an urban community, where they have just made pit latrines behind their toilets, so that all those fecal matters are poured just direct into those pits. Not necessarily that there are tanks that could keep the sewer, no, because sewer can no longer pass through those pipes. Each and every time sewers have been blocked within the community. So spillage of all those sewers move around the community at this particular time. So there are a number of things that I'm yet to even share on my socials, the things that the Kabungo Ward are really facing, because 3 years we have had a challenge where a septic tank where sewer overflow within the roads. We've made efforts to Mlonga Water and Sewerage to ensure that they work on that sewer, but no effort has been made. They keep on changing the complaint number. They will give me this week another. So at the end of the day, we got fed up and say, let us take this chance and go into leadership and work on these issues. So these are two critical issues that urgently in Kabungo Ward people need. Bad road networks. These are a number of challenges. They are, for the past 4 years, we haven't had proper road networks, even crossing points, even crossing points. As I begin sharing more, as the campaigns in Zambia intensify, I'll be sharing more on my socials on a number of projects that we are going to work on as we come into leadership in Kabungo Ward.
So if elected, I know you talked about it a little bit, but if elected, what would be your top 3 priorities for the ward?
The top 3 priorities is I need to be a present leader in the community. The second priority is ensuring that water challenge is sorted out within the year of being elected. The third priority is ensuring that there is more inspiration in the community for young people to look at leadership in a different way, so that as we build and work, they understand the agenda and the role that I am playing as their leader and as their representative of the community within the ward. So these are my 3 priorities as I step into this leadership.
Thank you. My next question is, how do you plan to improve essential services? You talked about infrastructure and essential services, issues with roads, also with network connectivity. How do you plan to improve infrastructure and essential services in your community?
In our community, Kabungo had one of the community that we had many years ago, So at this particular time, it's no longer save the community, because I don't know if it has been sorted out, because now we see it has been opened as a church. Yes, it is good that people are congregating and they are being led to Christ, but that was a facility of the community. So now, how best am I going to ensure that infrastructure is really worked on in Kabungo Ward? We have poor connecting points in Kabungo Ward. We have few proper infrastructure when it comes to community schools, even secondary school. Kabungo Ward houses Chuempara Combined School, which is a secondary school within the community. This institution or this school doesn't have even a well-fenced playground, which makes young people very put in a risky place when they are training. Where Kabungo Ward, when we look at Kabungo Ward, it is the center of where illegal mining was happening in Chingola. It houses the famous Senseri mine in Chingola. So you can imagine how those school-going kids, when they are training, and these our brothers who are working in the mines as small-scale miners, are passing through. Some who complain to say, no, sometimes we are being harassed as we are training and the like. So now we look forward to improve this infrastructure and also rob to government to ensure that Chuempala community combined school is given a community hall that the school will be using, as well as the community can be using in the community. When we look at Helen Twikatane has only a 1x2 classroom block. This is a community school which is growing each and every day, So we look forward to having at least a 1x3 classroom that will house also different grades, like grade 8, 9, 10, 11 up to 12, or Form 1, 2, 3, 4 up to Form 5 in the community. So when we improve this, it will also tackle the education part, where young people and pupils will be learning in a conducive environment. Helen Twikatane also lacks a hospital or even a clinic, a police post. These are the challenges that are there. So infrastructure-wise, we look forward to ensure that these are worked on. Now, see, Kabungo Ward is made up of 4 communities. which is Helen Twikatane, Kabungo Urban, Mushishima, and Kafiwe Hip Hop. So now, when you look at Kafiwe Hip Hop, is where way back hippos would sunbath on the shore of the same river, and it was very attractive. You know, if the leadership back then had thought of even engaging the KCM, the Konkora Copper Mine, because the Kafiwe Hip Hop is just near to KCM, to ensure that they put up certain infrastructures that also preserve the environment, and it will be so attractive. Meaning, it will not only be attractive, and it will also bring people in the community. And also, people will also be able to identify, to say, these are some of the challenges that Kabungo Ward is facing as they come to tour and also see the beauty of Kabungo Ward. Meaning it would have been a hub for different people coming into the community. So we look forward to ensuring that these infrastructures are worked on in our community.
Wow, I like how in depth you are. I appreciate that. And I think that's very important for a leader to articulate the type of issues and solutions that they intend to tackle if they are elected. Of course, we know that youth empowerment is central to your campaign and your identity as a candidate. Why is this issue of youth empowerment so important to you?
You know, Mr. Muhambi, for the past 10 years, I've been in the youth leadership spaces, and I see how young people, my fellow young people, struggle to find themselves at the table of opportunities, you know. And just that itself is what made me to say, if I'm able to find myself on this table, yes, it is by the grace of God that I had certain opportunities and I'm able to reach this far. But what of that, my fellow young person who is not privileged to certain opportunities that I was privileged to, you know? So it makes it very difficult for a potential young person to thrive in an environment where they're unable to connect dots, to whom I can network with, to whom I can see for certain accessibility of opportunities. So when we empower young people, because we are saying these are the future leaders, these are the people that are growing up in a future that we are preparing. So we cannot be promising a future which we are not preparing that young person for. This is where we find a challenge we have prepared the future, but because the people we are preparing the future for, we are not prepared to come and see this future. So hence, they are going to destroy the same future that we were working so hard to create for them. So when they are empowered now, they have the knowledge that they need in the next 10 years. They have the knowledge to ensure that they know how to use AI. They know how to use the computers. They are able to design certain systems. They are able to write business proposals. Even when we present an opportunity to pitch a business, when we have prepared them, they understand, they've been empowered. These young people, we will be seeing a number of them writing business proposals for those opportunities that we have presented to them. Why? Because we empowered them with the knowledge for what we are talking about, we are going to give them. I'll give an example, because in Kabungo Ward, it is a home where it houses one of the largest dump sites, which is the famous Senseri mine. If young people today, small-scale miners, were trained how to work in these mines, as government, we had taken key interest and time to really invest in training these small-scale miners or artisanal miners on how to mine and do all these things. Today, in our country, we wouldn't have a challenge of jerabos. We wouldn't have a challenge of illegal miners, because we would have seen and prepared them for the future, because Zambia is a mining country where mining exploration have been done every day. Gold this side is being discovered each and every time. On the end, diamond and other things. So if even at this particular time, we sit without empowering them, without giving them the knowledge that the community need for them to thrive and also do these other things. We'll be saying the Zambian youths have failed us. The Zambian youths are not ready to take the center stage because we are only creating the future without preparing them for the future. So it is very important that I see my fellow young people, youths being empowered, given a chance, a slot in entrepreneurship, given a chance in leadership, given a chance in all the corporate spaces and taking the center stage in also media.
I think you already answered this question, but I think I sort of want to see how your thoughts. You talked about skills development. How do you think skills development can reduce frustration among young people, and what could you do as an elected official?
Skills development has always been there, but in Zambia, since the government of the day, which was dissolved yesterday, took government, they had enhanced CDF, where a number of young people, women, different able would access a skill in different communities, which is commendable. And at this particular time, we are able to see a number of young people in our communities accessing skills through CDF, bursaries, in technical schools. But how best can it reduce frustration? Because a skill, I can have a skill, but where to apply the skill?
Yeah.
If we are not going to create a platform, an environment for those young people, we are giving bursaries to go and train in carpentry, to go and train in mechanical fitting, to go and train in catering, to go and train as drivers, and yet we are not creating opportunities in those environments. So for me, when elected and as an official, a government official, I look forward to us creating environment in each ward. So when we look at Kabungo Ward, how many young people have been sponsored from 2022 to 2026 respectively in skills development such as carpentry? Where are they? Do we have a factory or a community company that can house these young people that have been trained in carpentry? So when we have a skills center where those young people trained in carpentry are able to come and manufacture chairs, to come and manufacture desks. See, the government have the policy, a free policy of education, where education in Zambia is free. Now, a number of young people have enrolled in these schools, but access to quality education, again, at this particular time, is our advocacy now. That is what we are going to focus on, even as young leaders. So these same young people trained in this institution to be carpenters, where are they going to work? So for me, we look forward to create a community-based factory where these young people will be manufacturing desks. And at the end of the day, as CDF comes and they want people to supply desks into these schools, tables, let Kabungo Ward supply to its respective schools through the cooperative or a factory that has been created within the ward. When we look at other young people that have been trained maybe in catering, where are they going to work when we have few places to work from? It is looking forward to our marketplaces, to redesign our market centers, to have spaces where these young people can take up an entrepreneurial journey, to open their own restaurants, to open their own businesses, and they are doing all those services. But minus us providing such an environment, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult because they will keep on being frustrated because they will have nowhere to work from. So even as we give skills, let us also focus as leaders on where these skills will be applied to. We don't want to keep on producing frustrated, learned young people in our communities.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This question, my next question, I don't know, maybe this might be hard. I don't know if this is a hard question. I have to see how you answer it. Why should presidents trust a young leader with such responsibility?
Amazing. You know, leadership is not defined by being young, you know, and if people are going to keep on saying, no, this is a young person, so he or she cannot lead, he or she, because he's a young person, he cannot do ABC. When we are going to use also being young as a way of going into leadership, then that is the wrong motive of us young people to go into leadership. So why should we be trusted? Because we should be trusted. We are the one who are going to be in the future, that we keep on saying that we are the future leaders of tomorrow. So the tomorrow can never come when it is not even promised. So it is this particular time that we need to shape the vision of our country. We need to shape all that this nation want it to be shaped by young people. When we look at the people that fought for our independence, these were young people that stood up. They united. When we look at KK, he was very youthful when he became president. You know, when we look at a number of the first young person that was appointed to go into foreign leadership was very young. A young person. Why did KK trust such a young person? It is because these young people were prepared. When I talk about KK, you know, he was a very patriotic leader whom I learned so much from as young as he was. Being patriotic and trusting young people comes from the responsibility of preparing them. He made sure that he had an academy to train them to understand the leadership roles. That is why a number of leaders in the KK regime were not corrupt as we see today in the government of our nation today and in leaders of today. Why? Because these young people were trained to understand and to be patriotic. Because you want to be patriotic, you are not a leader for a political party, but a leader for the whole community, for the whole nation, you know. So there is nothing like, I need to choose this one, I need to choose that one. It is a responsibility of everyone. Young people know that if I mess up today, why they ought to trust young persons is, if I mess up today as I start my leadership journey, even at councillor level, tomorrow I won't seek office as mayor. Tomorrow I won't seek office as member of parliament. Why? Because I'm very young and I've destroyed my first 5 years in office to corruption, to lack of integrity, to failing to serve the people of the community, the mandate that I was given. So I'm very conscious as a young person, even as they trust me with this leadership role, because I know that I have a very long journey and role to play in the Zambian politics and shaping the Zambian leadership. So I'm taking up this responsibility with so much conscious and respect to the mandate that the Zambian people, the people of Chingola and the people of Kabungo Ward are going to give me.
My next question here, we have a comment here that says, according to the new constitution, the president will appoint 15 youth as MP. All the best to you and to our UN youth representative, Mr. Mwila Jameson. So this parlays into this question. Do you believe that young people are adequately represented in Zambia's political system today? I think I already got the answer in the first part, but do you think that they're represented adequately?
You know, young people have always wanted to be in the center stage of representing our nation. Yep. When we look at our president of Zambia today, he started politics very young. When I'm watching certain clips, I'm able to say this is a youthful president trying to find his way to represent the people of Zambia, you know. And we draw a lot of inspiration from all that to say this is actually what young people really want and wanted. So now, are we represented adequately? this is why we always advocate that young people are included in the decision making of our nation. Just like one had commented to say, UN representative James Mavu, a very young person, youthful. I've worked with Mavu in college, and is a very good leader, and his appointment to me was amazing because I had worked with him when we were serving in the student union, and he was an amazing leader. So that comes him taking up that role to represent fellow young people in those affairs. But are we represented adequately? When we look at parliament, the 13 parliament that was dissolved, a lot of youths that we were looking at were just youthful on paper, not really youthful on age. They were youthful on paper because a number of them today, they are no longer youths.
Yeah,
you see. You see, so that would show that even in parliament, young people had little voice on certain things. So we were not represented adequately. Even in council, Chingola Municipal Council had as 29 wards, which means 29 councillors were representing various communities. But we only had Gibson Chala, who was 25 years by the time 2021 he was elected as councillor, and that him was a very young councillor. But now see, he was the only youth, and other youths who were maybe 30, some were 31. But when we look at a certain youthful time where you can really do so much and represent fellow youths and fellow youth group, he was the only one who was 25. So we are not represented adequately in other spaces, maybe in appointment, such as maybe like I mentioned, UN representative in the student union, in other youthful organizations. Yes, young people are dominating and they are being radical, but at the center stage where final decisions, discussions, bills are being made, young people are not at the center stage, even up to now. So this is why we young people in 2026 have stood up and said, enough is enough. Let us take these responsibilities, because we'll be answerable to our kids, to our grandchildren, to say, what were you doing, grandpa, when these bills were being passed, when these decisions were being made that are affecting us today? So we are taking up these responsibilities because we want to sit down with the generation to come and explain, to say, this is the role that we had played in ensuring that you young people today at 25, you can become president. At 35, you can become Zambian president and vow for these leadership positions.
Okay, I like that. So are we, do we expect to see you as president in 20 years or so? I like that answer. We'll keep it a secret. I know a good politician doesn't disclose their next steps.
Exactly.
My next question is, what kind of leadership culture do you want to promote in the ward? Earlier we talked about how you said that a part of the job of an elected official is someone who represents. You said you don't want to be someone. It is not in the job description to hand out money to people. It's not in the job description to, promise people homes and cars. So what kind of leadership culture would you like to promote if elected in your ward?
Okay. In my ward, even as I campaign at this particular time, I don't dash out money. I have the capacity to give out money, but I don't want to build a relationship in my community based on money, because there will be a time when I won't have that 100 kwacha, that 50 kwacha to give out to my fellow young people, to the mothers and other people in my community. Then I will fail to go into the community. Why do I say so? The culture that has been in the community is, leaders or politicians who dash out money as they campaign and give out people. But when they are now elected, they find that in the community, as I have identified, is there are more challenges and problems than the resources to solve them. So now, you are in such a position and you are being given as a counselor a 6,000 allowance, not a salary, but an allowance. And maybe you are not even working or do not own any business to sustain you. So that means your all dependency is on that 6,000. So if you have built the culture to just give out money, every time when they see you, people will be just shouting, Tudiemo, hey, honorable, give us some money. That is, so that is the culture that will be there. But when you have built a relationship with the people that they understand who you are and the role that you are playing in the community, it will be very easy for me as Leanatus to attend a funeral even when I don't have the money to buy a bag of mealie meal. It will be easy for me to interact with my fellow young people even when I don't have 100 to dash to them. I'll be comfortable to sit down with my mothers in the community and walk around the community, not because I'm going to dash out money. Because in politics, there is always someone who has more money. There is a term that is being coined in Zambia to say, who has the bag of money, and that is where people will go. So now, as a young person, a fresh graduate, and just running my own business as an entrepreneur, go into business, into politics, and now I'm just dashing out money and all that. Now, when there will be no money, am I going to confident walk into the community and speak to the people I want? So the culture I want to promote is let us have a relationship with the people before the honorable title, so that we are able to discuss issues not based on money. They are able to communicate to me. I won't be afraid to pick up phone calls because I only know that the culture I taught people in the community is inenga mwantumi na phone. As you call me now, I'll be able to send you 100. I'll be able to send you 1,000. That is the culture I don't want to promote, even as I campaign, even as I go into leadership.
That's the issue.
yeah, exactly.
that is the issue. That is the issue. So as we begin to wind down the conversation, first let me just thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know it's election times, it's intensifying. So I thank you for coming here on ZBTR TV and sharing your vision. I really appreciate it. My next question is, this is sort of like a reflection, just as you've been campaigning, what challenges have you faced so far in your political journey? I imagine you being young is one of them, but what challenges have you faced so far in your journey, in your political journey, your leadership journey?
The number one challenge is the financial challenge, even as I campaign. Politics has been commercialized. I don't know if in other countries it is the same, but in Zambia, as I have been campaigning, one thing I have noticed is politics have been commercialized. I was looking at some of the notes when I was doing my geopolitics with the US Embassy. It's quite different from the theoretical aspect that we were being taught and on the ground. You can have the whole sense like I do, the whole idea of developing, but if you don't have the financial capacity, some will just say, it's just wasting our time. What time is he finishing to talk? So that they leave some money and it goes. Some, they are not even interested in the message that you are giving them. Provided you just have the money, they'll be there to gather. And that is a very big challenge that us young people, especially, we are facing on the political ground, because politics has been commercialized, where when they just see the honorable, all they see is the money that you are going to give them. They are not ready for ideas that will develop the community and share opportunities that will bring proper development within the community. And in Kabungo Ward, it's quite very, very big a challenge, because I would say at this particular time, maybe it would have been easy if the young people were still scavenging in these open dump sites, because they would have been earning their own monies. But at this particular time, they sit in the corners of every road in our communities, just chilling up, they are just seated there. When they just see you passing through, like we feel happy seeing you, because they know that maybe you have 100 that you would give them so that they would share, so it's quite challenging, and this is number one. Then the other thing is, there are some of the elders that are still using vulgar language in politics. They would belittle you to say, no, why show you, this is a young person, there's nothing that he can do. You want to believe these young people, like they are still using such language in politics, and which is not the thing that me personally, I want to promote. I won't be talking about my opponent, my other leaders that still want to represent the community based on their age or based on their status in the community, or what they have achieved, or based on their academic status, But let us discuss ideas. Let us exchange ideas on how best are we going to develop the same community we are vowing for. Let us convince the people that we have the greatest ideas that we can. So a number of challenge is all that, and mostly the biggest challenge is if you do not maybe belong to a certain particular political party in the community. Certain people will say, no, you can't trust this person, you can't do this. Maybe when you belong to a certain political party, they'll still have something to talk about. Again, when you do not belong to political party A or party B, there's so much to talk about, to say, no, if we're going with this one, we're just going to work with this one because they belong to a political party. But the leadership does not mean you have to just belong to a political party to represent the good people of your community, the good people of our leading community. So what I would love to also highlight, even as I say these as challenges, is leadership and certain political parties, they are not so conducive for young people in Zambia at this particular time, because you become a yes, Bwana person, even when things are not as with integrity or representing the good interest of the people, you will still be dancing around the tune because you don't want to offend your leader in that political party. You are afraid to say, oh, you are elected as councillor on this political party and you don't want to agree for us to go on a protest. We are going to cause a by-election, So, so a number of those are the challenges that we are facing as young people. Yeah.
There is a question in the chat that says that if you fail to deliver on your promises, how should the people of Kabungo Ward hold you accountable? Oh, wow. That's a big one.
Amazing. When in Nyambe, one of my comrades hosted me on one of the TV stations in Lusaka, I was asked a question to say, how should young leaders be held accountable? In the first place, I can only fail if I'm not working with the people. That is number one. But me being held accountable would be based on me exposing things that are happening in the community. If, let's say, there is ward development fund, which comes from all the taxes that are collected by the local government within the district, and now it is being distributed to each and every ward. So currently, it is 250,000. So without the community knowing about that money, they won't know where it has worked, and where it has improved the lives of the community. So for me to be held accountable as the community, I have to sit down with the community and tell them to say, see, 2027, as we take on the leadership of Kabungo, we have been given, if we'll be privileged, to maybe a 300,000. When we look at, I shared something to say, I have an agenda to have a Kabungo Ward Vision 2031, where we highlight all the challenges that we have. So now when we're given a 300,000, we'll go back to the people and sit down to say, we have an agenda to ensure that we have 20 borehole in our community, a proper water reticulation system. So 300,000, what can we do? So that means is the 300,000, we are going to say, okay, 100,000, we need to contract someone to put up a bore in this section. 100,000, let us work on the crossing points that are not okay. 100,000, let us look at certain drainages so that we work on them. So the community are fully aware that the 300,000 that we were given from the coffers of the local government have worked in these spaces. So when the work is not satisfying, the communities or the community members will be able to hold me accountable as their leader to say, leader, where did the money go? Look at this underwork that was done at this particular place. So from all that now, if it happens in that way, then it is easy for them to hold me accountable because I've exposed what they really have to know. If we receive certain empowerment and we have mapped our community to say, in our community, we know the vulnerable, we know homes that are led by child-headed homes, we know how many widows we have in the community when we have done the community mapping. When opportunities that are fit for the widows come in the community, we are able to go into the system that we have mapped to say how many households. Okay, we have maybe 100 households that are being led by widows. So the opportunity is only for 50. Let us take in this section and in this section a few so that there are 50 to benefit from. So when the other opportunities come again, we are able to go to our system and see how many were left so that they also benefit. So it is easy for Leanatus or any other leader to be held accountable when what is happening is being exposed to the table and the community leader are fully aware of it. It comes very difficult for a leader to be held accountable because, Muhambi, if you have 100 kwacha and you haven't disclosed to me, I can't hold you accountable to say, how did you spend your 100 kwacha? you know. So the key is when you tell me to say, no, actually, I received 100 kwacha and I plan to do this and this, I'll be able to come and say, did you really pay for that subscription? You said you want to pay 30 kwacha. Where did the 70 kwacha that you are left with go? Then you explain, no, I got 20 kwacha fries, 50 kwacha, I did this and that. You'll be able to explain, you see. But that is the same principle even in the community. When the people are not aware of what is happening, it is very difficult to hold our leaders accountable.
My final question for you, then I'll let you go, is it ties back into what you were just saying about Vision 2031. If your vision is fully realized, and of course we know that leadership is it's a journey. So everything, and I like what you said. It won't happen. It won't happen fast. It's going to take time. But if your vision is partially realized 5 years from now, what kind of community could residents of Kabungo Ward expect in 2031? If this vision that you've outlined in this hour is realized or partially realized, what could your residents expect in 5 years?
Eyes each and every time. I'm able to see where we're going as a community. I'm able to see what Kabungo Ward will be. It will be a community where
no problem. See, that's how you know.
It will be a community. It will be a community where young people are able to say, I'm the next councillor of Kabungo Ward, because we are going to prepare them for the leadership of Kabungo Ward. We are going to prepare them to take up the responsibility of Chingola as a district, as Zambia. And the community will be able to look at and smile to say, no, we have proper drainages in this community. We no longer have floods. We have proper road networks. We are able to pass through different roads without turning and saying, no, we are going to use that other route for us to connect. This is what Kabungo Ward will look at. People will no longer have to move kilometers to go and draw water in the other communities, such as the nearby Chuempala Ward. People will have to access clean and healthy facilities in the community, such as the schools, infrastructures, will be developed. So when this vision is realized, I believe even that young person who wanted to pursue a career in sports will be able to train within the community at Shwempala School ground, So these are some of the realization that will be in Kabungo Ward.
Well, you've heard it straight from here. You've heard it straight from the leader. Wow, I'm just very grateful that we've been able to have this conversation. Any last words you want to say to our viewers before we let you go?
Thank you very much, Hambi. I really appreciate for this wonderful opportunity, because I like being on TV. I like being
like just placing myself and giving direction to where we are going with the people who are believing in the vision that I have for the community. And this opportunity, I give all glory to God Almighty, and thanks to you for really identifying me and looking out for me and giving me this platform. So to the viewers who have been watching me and listening to me, believe in me and believe in God Almighty, and we'll see a greater leadership in Zambia and in other parts of the country. Thank you very much.
There you go. Thank you so much, my brother, and good luck on the campaign, and hope everything goes well so we can have you back as counselor.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'll be coming back as I'll be elected on the 13th August on this platform.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate it. That was our show for today, Mr. Leanatus Mwila, who is campaigning to be a ward councillor in Kabungo Ward in Chingola. We're very, very, very excited to have had him on, and I hope that you've been able to learn a few things, to glean a few things. We know that the election is in, I believe, less than 100 days, and there are a lot of youth candidates who are running for office, and we're very grateful that we were able to have at least one of them join us today. So we will see you next week. We're looking forward to seeing you next week on ZBTR TV. Again, our prayers are continually praying for Pastor Nathan and his family, and I'm very grateful that I've been able to step in and hold down the fort. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hey Zambia, are you ready to kickstart your Saturday?
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.